All right, hello everyone. We are going to set up some notes on a topic called prime factorization. Prime factorization. I want to say welcome to Miss Lopez class. Got a special guest here. They're going to be kind of joining us for this session of notes. Let me go through these real quick. So like I said, we're going to be taking some notes on what's called prime factorization. Now, I want to remind you, you are watching a video, so if I do seem to be going too fast, remember you could always pause it, rewind it, do what you got to do, all right? So, prime factorization, that's the topic that we're going to talk about today. So you want to get these down in your journal, okay? So the essential question is, how do I determine the prime factorization of a number? Now, because this word's kind of long, I'm going to use the abbreviation of PF to represent prime factorization, okay? PF. I'm going to just use that to represent prime factorization. So like we just said, our essential question is, how do I determine the prime factorization? Now let's do this. Prime factorization of a number. Okay, so I hope you have your title and your essential question written down. Let's go ahead and get started. We first need to talk about a couple of keywords here, some vocabulary words. And the first one is one that you're probably familiar with, and that is factor or factors. Okay, so factors are going to be those numbers that are multiplied together. So we're talking about numbers that are multiplied together. Okay, so for example, we have there numbers that are being multiplied together. If I set up an example, you could have like 2, or let's do 3 times 4, all right? That right there, these are going to be your factors, okay? And those are factors of 12, okay? So those are factors of 12, all right? So 3 times 4, 3 and 4 are going to be factors of 12. Okay. We also need to talk about what is a prime number and what is a composite number. Okay, we're going to start off with prime. So with a prime number, we're talking about numbers that only have 2 factors. Okay, so numbers that have only 2 factors are going to be considered prime. So for example, you have like the example number 7. That is prime because the factors are only 1 times 7. Those are the only factors of 7. All right, so this makes this a prime number. Okay, next word is we want to talk about a composite number. It's kind of the opposite of a prime number. And a composite number is going to be numbers with more than 2 factors. Okay, numbers with more than 2 factors. So for example, one common mistake or one common number that people get confused with is 9. 9 is not a prime number because it has more than 2 factors. We have 1 times 9, and we also have 3 times 3. Okay? So these right here are the factors of 9. All right, so you got to be careful. Prime number has only 2 factors, 1 and the number itself, whereas a composite number is going to have more than 2 factors. So just like in the 2 examples that we have there. We'll push this up. If you miss something up top, just go ahead and pause it, rewind it, catch that. Here, let me do that. Here you go. Pause it right there if you're still copying, and then we'll pick up here in a second. All right. So then the question comes up is, what in the world is prime factorization? Okay. So what is prime factorization? What is prime factorization? So prime factorization is going to be how we find which prime numbers multiplied together give you the original number. Okay, so it's going to be finding out prime numbers which prime numbers multiplied together give you the original number. Okay, so which prime numbers multiplied together give you the original number. Let's talk about the steps that we have for these. Like I said, if I'm going too fast, pause it. Okay, just pause the video. So number one, first step is you want to pick any 2 factors of a number. So let me kind of simultaneously, let me do an example on this side. So I want to find the prime factorization of 36. So let me see, find prime factorization of 36. Okay. Now, step 1 is you want to pick any 2 factors. Now, what I want to tell you here, and I'm going to kind of write this here in the column, is for step number 1, it doesn't matter where you start, meaning it doesn't matter what factors you pick. In the end, your prime factorization is going to be the same, right? That'll make more sense here when we finish. All right, so I'm going to put a little asterisk, a little star here, and put it does not matter which factors does not matter which factors you choose, all answers will be the same. All prime factorization will be the same. Okay, and that's going to make more sense because if you think of 36, you could pick any 2 factors. So you can pick 2 times 18, you could pick 3 times 12, you could pick 4 times 9, you could pick 6 times 6. Any of those factors are going to work. Okay, any of those factors are going to work. I'm just going to choose 2 times or 3 times 12, just because that's the first one that pops up into my head. So I'm going to take 36. And we're going to use something that's called a factor tree. Okay, we're going to use what's called a factor tree. So you're going to take your 2 factors, 36. What are 2 factors of 36? Well, I chose 3 times 12. Okay. Now, step 2 is if you come up with any prime numbers along the way, you want to circle your prime numbers and leave them alone. So circle prime numbers, circle your prime numbers, okay? And you don't do anything with them. That's why you circle it. So you can say, okay, done. That's going to be part of my prime factorization. 12. Okay, this is step 3. Step 3 is going to be to continue to choose factors. Continue. Step 2, like I said, is to continue to choose factors. So with the 12, I'm going to pick any two factors, and I'm going to pick, for the sake of it, I'm just going to say, hey, 2 times 6. Again, it doesn't matter which factors you choose, all right? In the end, you're going to get the same answer. Here we go, back right here, I have another prime number. So I got to circle it, and then I continue to choose factors. I continue to choose factors. All right. So for 6, I have 2 times 3. There are prime numbers. And now I am done with my prime factorization, and we're going to put that together. I said this right here, this is called a factor tree. Okay, called a factor tree. Now the last step to finding the prime factorization of a number is to take all the numbers you've circled and multiply them together. Put them in an expression where they're showing multiplication. Okay, and you want to do that in order from least to greatest. So step 4 is write a number sentence. Do that because you guys are familiar with number sentence. Write a number sentence by multiplying all the prime numbers. Now, if you notice, what we circled are all prime numbers. Okay, what we circled are all prime numbers. So, your prime factorization here down at the bottom. Now, prime factorization is equal to, you want to put these in order from least to greatest, 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. That's going to be your prime factorization right there. All right. Now, the last thing we're going to add here, this is what's called right here. I'm going to highlight it. Let's do green. This prime factorization, if I were to multiply together, guess what it's going to give you? Yes, 36. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 3 is 36. Okay? So this prime factorization here, this is what's called expanded form. This is expanded form. Now right under here, under step 4, I want you to add this little note, use exponents. Use exponents as needed. If you remember here, now we can use exponents because we are seeing that 2 and 2 are being multiplied together, so it's the same number. And also 3 and 3 is being multiplied together, and that's the same number. So then your prime factorization, it's okay if you're running out of space, move to the back. Your prime factorization is going to be 2 to the second power times 3 to the third power. And this is what's called here exponential form. Exponential form. I'm going to try to highlight it purple. Hopefully it's not too dark. It's kind of dark. You can kind of see it though. It's 2 to the second power times 3 to the third power. And that's what's called exponential form. Okay. So that takes us here to the end of the video. If you missed anything, feel free to rewind. Feel free to pause. And thank you for doing what you got to do. Have a good day.